everybody, to the Cole and Tabor podcast, the #1 podcast on Apple Podcasts. Right? Did I get that right?
Yep.
Cool.
We're definitely on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, probably none of that's true. What do we know?
Yeah. We'll ask the
anyway.
producer.
Let's start with this, dude. How was your birthday?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Still happening.
Oh, is it today?
Yeah, it's today.
Oh, and you partied yesterday.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Well, happy birthday, man. Sorry for not
Thanks.
knowing that. I definitely should have.
You're chill. Chillin'. Yeah, dude, it was a good time. We just
Good.
played video games.
Good. 27?
Yep.
27.
Yep.
Sick, dude.
Such a dope
That's
age,
awesome.
right?
It is. I feel like I stopped at 28. Like, that's where I feel like I froze. Oh, did you spill something?
Yeah, but we're chilling, dude. This wasn't as bad as last time.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it has been
3 weeks again.
another 3 weeks because of crazy schedules. And we saw this time around, let's see, we saw...
We said we were going to watch 3, and then we didn't watch one. And then
That's
we
right.
watched another one.
That's right. So we added Napoleon, we took away Trolls. And then the other ones we watched were... I've definitely watched some movies this last couple weeks. What were they?
What the next goal wins?
Next Goal Wins. And the Marvels.
Blue Beetle.
Oh, still haven't seen Blue Beetle.
Yeah, the Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So kind of a wide array, weird array of movies in this grouping.
Yep. And you didn't get to see Wish.
Yes, I did not get to see Wish, unfortunately.
Okay. We'll just do that one next time.
Cool. Great. What stands out to you? What did you like? What did you dislike? What was your favorite? What was your least favorite?
Oh, goodness. I thought the one I probably liked the most was Next Goal Wins.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the look of a man who loves the movie.
I did like it a lot. I'm trying to... I don't know. I don't know in terms of like what I liked most and what I liked least, because there were like with the ones I thought I would like the most, there were disappointments, and with the ones that I had the least interest in, there were high points. And I don't know, man. I think all I can say is, though I did enjoy the Marvels, I liked Marvels the least.
Okay.
Between Napoleon and Next Goal Wins, I don't know which one I liked the most.
Yeah. It was a wide array of meh. the 3 movies.
Yeah.
Not
totally.
that any of them are bad.
Right. Yeah, out the gate, none of them sucked.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, well, actually, one of them in particular had like much higher promise than it came through with. So
yeah, depending on whatever you decide that is. Let's start. I don't know. Let's start with wacky, crazy, kooky.
Cool.
Next Goal Wins.
cool. Yeah, man. I just saw that one last night. No,
Oh shoot!
Friday. I don't know, man. I'm so lost in the days. I saw that recently.
Yeah.
It was the one I saw the most recently. It was very Taika Waititi.
Yes.
And it was not very creative, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely like a sports underdog movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
About failure,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of what you thought it would be.
Right.
It's based off a true story, maybe. Yeah, it is. They showed the guy at the end.
Yeah. They did a good job of making Michael Fassbender look like him.
True. I think Michael Fassbender is probably the best part. Because I really just like him.
He's great.
He really is. The killer in this, even though...
Oh! We totally should have. I forgot. I've been wanting to watch that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that one next time.
Okay. Netflix original, The Killer. In this one, we did the Apple's original, Napoleon.
That's right, yeah. And the Taika original, the Not-So-Killers soccer.
Yeah, that's the sequel to this movie where Michael Fassbender has to teach a group of assassins how to kill.
Yeah.
It's set in the John Wick universe. So this movie, I think the reason I personally liked it the most was it felt the most succinct and compact and like it felt the most like a complete movie, I would say.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I feel like it didn't nothing was out of proportion, like nothing outweighed where it shouldn't have, which I think was the case with Napoleon, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and it was also like not the most inspired of like underdog sports dramedies, but it was like enjoyable anyway. There were a lot of things where I thought they really could have brought the heat with like pep talk situations or whatever else, and everything was like fairly lackluster in that regard, but like you just had a good time, and there was like a bit of like culture clash hilarity involved, and
I think a lot of that, like, I think this movie thrives in it not really being a sports movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because like a lot of the because there's not a lot of soccer, and all of the speeches are very. I mean, that's the joke of the character, is that he doesn't ever write his own speech until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's when they actually start doing good. So I mean that's interesting. I thought it was funny when he watches the Any Given Sunday, which I haven't seen yet, and then gives the same speech like 2 days later or a day later.
Right, yeah. I also haven't seen that, but yeah, that was good.
But yeah, like,
isn't that the Any Given Sunday speech?
Yeah.
It's like, what? No.
I feel like the movie just like it would do a lot better, like reference something here, mention it, and then it pays off.
Yeah,
and
right.
Like there's so much of like character development and character stuff that I feel like just works.
Yeah.
And at least the Marvels, I felt like is the biggest clash there.
Yeah. Yeah.
With like characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that you really only kind of end up caring about like two people in the whole. As I guess this is me personally. Yeah. Only ended up caring about two people in Next Goal Wins, and I think it treated both of them well, even if it didn't give a very good like depiction of the team or like a wider view of the humans involved or anything. Yeah,
the other team members, they get almost no screen time. Which definitely kind of sucked because you want in a normal sports thing, those are the things that are exciting, is getting to know every player and how those individual players improve. Yeah. But really, you're just like, when you're introduced to people, it's just like the dude who's the owner's kid who slides a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And how that's the only real thing you know about him. He's the owner kid and he slides a lot.
Right.
I couldn't tell you his name.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
Yeah.
And then you have the cop guy who like kicks a can off of a sign and into the trash can.
Yeah.
And then the coach is like, "Oh, you need to come be on the team."
Yeah.
And you think it's like going to pay off in some way. It's going to come back that he's like a really accurate or really powerful kicker or something.
Yeah.
And it just kind of never does.
Nope.
And then when he's on the team, they're like, you used to play with us, but we kicked you out because da-da-da. And it's very gag-centric, the whole movie. And like that was just a gag. It was just like, this cop is really good at soccer. We'd better recruit him. And then nothing happens. There's no real story in a lot of those things, but it's just littered with Taika Waititi gags.
Yeah, really, you're right. The only real things that hold the movie together are Michael Fassbender and I don't remember her name. Jaya, yeah. Jaya.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They were great. Like, I loved both of those, and I liked their conflict and the way that's resolved, and then everyone else they're just kind of like the pieces that kind of keep it held together.
Right.
Because I really like the Fassbender stuff, and even though it's very melodramatic, I don't know. It got me emotional. I cried at the end.
Cool. Oh, cool. Yeah. That's awesome. It definitely has like, excuse me, his portrayal of that person definitely has the vibes of like an actual person who is like either down on their luck or depressed, or like they're just like weighed down by something. And so even though it didn't always follow like stereotypical story beats for that kind of character or for sports dramedies, he seemed like a real person, like with all the flaws and with no pre-programmed timing to him. He's just experiencing what he's experiencing.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. The next goal wins is pretty good.
Yeah, it is entertaining for sure. Well worth the watch.
Yeah, it's got a lot of funny bits. I like Taika Waititi's humor, even though it's really gaggy. Like, I guess I like gags a lot, though. Like the mayor, not the mayor, the guy who owns the team is also the camera guy who also owns a restaurant. But then we all have a lot of jobs here. Yeah, but then it connects back to like the reason they're able to own the team is because they work so much.
Yeah. Yep. I do like those things. The just silliness that's throughout his movies. It's super fun. I wish he was a little more like detail oriented, a little better, like weaving stuff together. But that's not his thing, and that's fine because he still makes very worthwhile movies.
Yeah.
That are hilarious in a way that is different than like literally everyone else's comedy. It's great.
Yeah. I think the things that I'm trying to remember what I didn't like so much about this. I guess the things that I didn't like were that a lot of the background characters just felt like background characters. There wasn't too much given to most of everyone.
Yeah, that's true. That was a shame. Sorry.
I liked Will Arnett, the fact that he plays just a blunt dude, and then that story, the stories about the dogs. How many dead dogs do you think I can have, or how many dogs do you think I've killed?
That was so funny, man.
He's great.
He is. I love when he's telling the first dog story, and you think he's gonna say that this is horrible. I'm sorry, PETA. Sorry, everybody, but I'm gonna laugh at this. When he's, you think he's gonna say that his dad forced him to go outside and shoot the dog. It's like, my dad made me go outside and drown the dog in the pond.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so just wacky.
I love it. And then the weird like relationship that Elizabeth Moss has with Will Arnett.
Yeah.
And the whole, like, I really like the stuff around the daughter and the reveal around
Mhm.
that and all that was pretty emotional.
Yeah, it was. I sniffed it out very early on, though.
Did
Like by
you?
the time the second time he's listening to a voicemail, I'm like, oh, he's just listening to old voicemails. Like he would have
Damn.
spoken to her by now, you know.
Yeah, they had me. I was like, oh, he's just depressed about his job situation, and then they got me, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, it was good, and I thought his and he's Michael Fassbender, so this isn't a surprise, but like his handling and delivery of all that information later on in the movie was very good.
It was very quick. Like when he
Yeah.
finally tells you, it's as gut wrenching as something like that would be.
Hmm.
Like it comes out of nowhere. There's not a lot of build up to it. He's just kind of like, a year ago this happened, and then
Yeah.
you're cut.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think good movie. I still
Yeah.
only probably would say it's like a 7
Okay.
out of 10.
Okay. Cool.
If I have to rate it, gun to my head. Because rating movies is always hard, right? Like you want
It
to
is.
have like that 10 out of 10 scale for succinctity.
Right.
But then when you start putting other things on the scale, it's dumb. Because
Yeah.
it's all mood and vibes. Like if you're having a
Yeah.
bad time watching a movie, it can go all the way down here for no reason.
Totally. Yeah, and each movie kind of is subject to scales that are dependent on its genre and all kinds
Yeah.
of other things too. So it is real hard to be consistent. But yeah, 1 to 10 is nice. But as we discovered last time, a much better consistent system for rating is how many Gran Turismos
Oh yeah. This is
is
like
it worth?
it's like this is probably like 2 Gran Turismos, maybe 3.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, it's if you're talking about there are 2 Gran Turismo scales. It's 0 to Gran Turismo and how many Gran Turismos.
What is it? 'Cause if we're talking like Citizen Kane, dude, you're gonna need a lot of Gran Turismo.
Exactly. Did this movie make you would you, after watching this movie, would you play soccer for American Samoa?
I still don't think I'd be that good.
Then the movie failed.
Oh,
If you don't have faith in yourself to go play for American Samoa, then this was a bad movie.
I believe I could help get a goal. I'm at least an
Cool.
assist.
Cool.
What
Yeah.
about you, dude? Are you gonna go play
Yes,
soccer in general?
would go play. Yep. And I'd say 0.7 from 0 to Gran Turismo, this is a 7 out of Gran Turismo, I think.
Really, you don't even think
Yeah.
it's as good as Gran Turismo?
Yeah, but I liked Gran Turismo a lot more than you did. I think.
Yeah. Now the scale's all off for me, but I think I still get it. Does this movie make you want to join a indoor soccer league?
It maybe would, except that I have. Do you remember how Austin was in an indoor soccer league?
Yeah, kind of.
I went and watched him play a couple times, and there was something so, like, I just didn't like it. I didn't like being in, like, an enclosed, like, hangar space where all these people were running around and screaming and doing their soccer stuff. It felt so much different than being outside, and I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Just spectating.
Would you join a normal rec league then? Not indoor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a sports movie that made you want to go out and play that sport?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I don't know if you ever saw a movie called Forever Strong, but it was
No.
it's a rugby movie, and it's sort of faith-based, but it's mostly like semi-biographical about a guy named Larry Gelwicks who coached a successful rugby team here in Utah, and the company that I work for now actually made that movie,
Oh.
but this was, I don't know, 2009 or something it came out, so years and years before I ever worked for them.
Yeah.
But I watched that movie, and I was living in Rexburg, Idaho. And the next day, I went out and found the Rexburg Rugby Club and started practicing with them.
Hell
and
yeah.
that lasted for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then like just schedule wise, I couldn't justify it anymore. But I was like really amped up.
Yeah, you were in it for a couple of games, a couple of things. Hell yeah.
And I just had never had any exposure to rugby before that movie. And it has remained like an interesting sport to watch for me.
Have you ever gone to a live one?
No, I haven't.
My roommates have.
Nice.
They said it was dope. I was
That's
gonna
cool.
say, what's a better genre of movies? Horror movies or faith-based rugby movies?
Oh, yeah. That's tough because if we're going by number of hits, it's definitely horror movies. But if we're going by like batting average,
The amount of movies.
faith-based rugby, yeah, because that was a solid one. So I was batting 1,000.
If we're doing it on the scale of how many of the movies made me want to go play rugby, I guess horror movies just suck ass then.
Oh man,
Did you end up watching Cobweb?
no, I haven't. No,
Shoot.
dang it. Yeah, I did
good.
watch something else last night though. This wasn't on our list, but I watched the new Hunger Games, Ballad of
was it?
Songbirds and Snakes. It was this is just my very biased opinion because I hate the Hunger Games for a number of reasons. I never read the books, but knowing what I know about the story, it's I don't find it compelling. I don't find it believable. I think it's very weakly pieced together, in my opinion. The characters are all lame. I don't find any creativity in what I know about it. And I've seen all the movies, and I hated all of them. And they weren't helped by the fact that I despise Jennifer Lawrence. So the whole franchise has nothing going for it for me, except Donald Sutherland as President Snow. The only like interesting or compelling character in the whole thing. He's like a complex dude. So I was excited for this movie, because it was analyzing the only guy worth anyone's time in the series. And what I came away thinking is it is, I think, the best one out of the movies for sure.
Okay.
But it very much was prone to the same weaknesses as the other 3-4 movies. It was very much a Hunger Games movie, but it was the best, and it had some of the best actors in it too. It had some really good performances, including the main guy that played Snow. Yeah, I liked it.
My roommates went to it and said it was awful. Said it was way too slow.
Oh, it was. I didn't realize going in that it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. I like sat down and like halfway through, the person I was with was like, "This movie's 2 hours and 40 minutes." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, that sounds hard.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like it segments, like it has a climax, probably an hour and a half in, and then it's like on to the next thing, and then this other story plays out.
Like Oppenheimer.
Yeah, a lot like that. Yep.
Because every movie that has ever done that will now be Oppenheimer.
Yep.
Yeah, even though 1,000 movies before.
The place beyond the place beyond the Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Does that a couple times.
What else does that? Psycho?
Oh yeah, true that.
Anyways, so sick. How many Gran Turismos is the new Hunger Games worth?
It's like 0.2 Gran Turismos, but it is like 4 Hunger Games Part 1s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too many layers. Inception. Okay. Well, I guess the next one. I don't know, Napoleon? Dude, I watched this like a couple hours ago.
Oh, nice. Okay. So very fresh for you. Let's get the what you got. Give me the vibes.
It's so hard after watching. So, the movie, again, like it was all right. It clearly a well-made movie, good sets, good costumes.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix is good. I liked pretty much all the acting. It had like an interesting tone when it comes to Napoleon, where it was both of kind of like making fun of him a lot of the times. Because he was like an eccentric dude, or at least the way that Joaquin Phoenix portrayed him was eccentric and kind of whiny crybaby. But then also like wanting to be really strong or something.
Right.
But I don't know. I just don't know if I get why it exists, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah. I resonate with that.
Yeah, just because I don't know what it's like. I get that at some point there has to be a movie about Napoleon, but I mean, like we had that, and that one was dynamite. But this one,
I get it. I was like waiting. I was waiting for something to click, and if nothing clicked, I was going to ask you in a minute. I'm like, wait, there was a Napoleon movie?
yeah. We got
that was good. That one was dynamite. Yeah. No, it wasn't good. It was his surname was Dynamite.
That guy.
Man.
I've been told I act like that guy.
That's funny.
And I feel like that's not a compliment. Napoleon was just it wasn't like an epic that I thought was that epic, I guess.
Right. Yep. Totally. Yeah, and this is from the guy that made Gladiator. Like, he knows all about those kinds of movies. And I definitely thought we were getting one of those.
Which I'm not the biggest on. I haven't seen a lot of Ridley. I haven't seen Gladiator. I haven't seen the other one that he did that's like that. Whatever it is. I haven't seen The Duel. The one that just came out last year, 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that either.
But I've seen Alien and Blade Runner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did Blade Runner. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I think he did Thelma and Louise.
Oh, really?
Maybe. That one I don't know. I said that one confidently, and now I'm backing out. Yeah, he made Thelma and Louise, and all those movies are pretty good.
Wow, okay. Good
but yeah, I don't know. So, what did you think?
Yeah, I felt largely the same. I think that if you're going to make a movie about Napoleon, like, make it about the things that make him interesting. The whole reason anyone would want to see a movie about Napoleon is because he took over the whole stinking world. Like, that's the only interesting thing about him. I don't think anyone in their right mind cares about his crappy marital relationship.
Yeah.
But that ate up the whole movie. And you get these little check-ins, little glimpses with, like, his dominating the world. It's like, oh, now they're at the pyramids, cannon shot. Oh, that's over.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's all I'm here for, is I want to see Napoleon taking over the world.
Yeah. It seemed like it had a lot of that. It seemed like the focus was trying to be a little bit on the relationship. And a lot of on the relationship and a little bit of his relation to what he's willing to do for his country and himself and his power and his legacy.
Right.
But then, you lose a lot of there's not that many war scenes. There is a lot of just like forever long conversations about like their love that I don't know. I didn't really feel.
Yeah, same. Wasn't hitting. There are relationship aspects to movies that are really good and should be there. And none of the ones in this movie were. It was just like, I can't be brought to care about these people and their bad relationship.
Yeah. And also, I was never really sure like what their actual standing was. There was that one scene where he's getting crowned as emperor, and the dude that she had a relation with was in the crowd.
Right.
But then that never gets brought up again.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I was going to say, like, her son, like, the reason that they ended up meeting, that I don't remember that son being there ever.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him.
Yeah. At some point, Napoleon Bonaparte's brother disappears. Like, I stopped seeing him all that often.
Yeah, yeah.
In the battles were probably the best parts, but they were always like hanging on to maybe what the focus of the movie wanted to be, which was their relationship and his
Right.
longing to be home and whatever. But it didn't feel like it was much about the actual like the motivations behind the fights. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah, totally. Just tiny glimpses of Napoleon the strategist, or like what was going on in his head surrounding the fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, had all the potential in the world, this movie. A movie about Napoleon, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Joaquin Phoenix, and it looked visually like it looked like the kind of movie I thought we were going to get. Like, just looked amazing. Everything was very well crafted visually.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just wasn't that. I think my suspicion is that the type of epic period piece that was common in the 2000s, like Kingdom of Heaven, Alexander, Troy, everything in that
Braveheart.
genre. Yeah, Braveheart. I guess that was the 90s, wasn't it? But those kinds of movies, I think that there's like a datedness to them, I think, that filmmakers are afraid of. But like, I return to those movies all the time. I love, I mean, I do there are problems with that era of movies, but I do like that era anyway. It was interesting. But specifically those like really epic period pieces from that era, they have like, I don't know, they have something about them that I really like. And so I rewatched Troy and Kingdom of Heaven and all those, like once every probably 2 years or so, I'll catch one of those movies. Yeah. And they're so worthwhile. And I think that filmmakers who set out to make epic, globe-trotting period pieces like that nowadays, I think they want them to be different than the ones from that era. But I think that is a faux pas. Like, to be different from them is not like some merit or some currency. It's just it's something they're afraid of, because I think that they think it's dated. But it's like, I don't know, they were just actually really good, if you ask me, and Napoleon could have stood to be more like them.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like this was very much of an epic bio piece than it was like a historical epic. Like,
Right.
it was trying to be more about him.
Totally.
I don't know, than like the violence surrounding him. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel like I really know any more about what made Napoleon tick besides like the relationship with this woman or his wife, Josephine. Which, I don't know. I guess Josephine was one of the three pillars of his life, if that's like the thing that one of his last words.
Oh yeah, true that. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I think that it would make sense to include that aspect of his life in the story. But I didn't need to see, I guess, as many
scenes
twists
about
and turns and about it, as I didn't need to see every little nuance of their relationship. I just needed to know who they were to each other, why that mattered, what it affected, and then I needed to see him taking over the world.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the coups and stuff that like it just seems brushed over some of the times.
It also seems like it's assuming some knowledge on the part of the audience. It's like the something rebellion of 1789, and you're just like, oh yes, of course, the something rebellion.
Yeah, I don't need any
this
explanation.
Thing. Don't build it up for me at all.
I've heard of Waterloo before.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that ABBA song, of course, Waterloo.
Yeah, and But I mean, but then you come back to where the movie really shines, and it is the period stuff, like being like the clothing,
Yeah.
not really the accents or anything, because of course
Sure. Right.
all that was very modern.
Yep.
They weren't even speaking in bad French accents. They
I
were just
know.
speaking
Yeah.
in American accents. Like what the
Totally. That was funny.
like the amount of horses I imagine were on set was crazy.
Yeah.
All when they were showing like the battle tactics of like, all the dudes forming that square formation and then they're just kind of circling.
Yeah.
Or the ice shit. The ice shit was pretty dope.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he really missed Josephine.
Yeah.
It just it makes you think like, what's the point of 3-hour biopic epics where you don't... Well, what's the point of them in general? Because at some point you're just trying to boil down stuff. But like you make it 3 hours to make it seem like you're not boiling shit down. But at the end of the day, you can't... It's just physically impossible to squeeze it all and put it into a nice package.
Yeah, totally.
Like there should just be like 5 Napoleon movies.
Right.
Like, those should be the sequels. We should not be doing 100 Marvel movies. We should be doing 10 Napoleon Bonaparte movies somehow.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. Those are the kind... Because, like, if I'm being honest, I get a lot of my awareness of history from my entertainment. And then I'll take something I saw in a movie and then go to the internet and try to
figure it out.
Yeah, if it's accurate or whatever. But it's just so much better and more involving a way to like absorb facts about history than like what we all had to do in school. Like it could still be interesting learning it that way, but not as I guess it just doesn't capture you as much.
Yeah.
So since movies have that power, they can take something historical and like really transmit it to you. Like there should be these big lengthy like serials about all the important historical stuff. Like that's
or something.
Totally, I agree.
But like trying to do the thing where you're, fitting decades of someone's life and then I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I'd rather a movie get the vibe of someone rather than try to depict them in the most accurate way possible.
I think that was one of the problems with the way they treated, like, the historical, like, moments in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Was they, for all intents and purposes, they were literally just listing them out. If they had... done more to, like you were saying, capture the vibe of Napoleon, like help us understand him, then I think a part of that would be seeing or at least feeling how these moments shaped him and whatnot. And I didn't feel like that was happening. I felt like literally they just went to the battles and the political movements because they had to from time to time.
Yeah.
And they were literally just like reading them off a list. It was like, oh, the something, 14 frames of that. The something, and then back to Josephine. I was like, eh.
Yeah, but then like entire things that mattered, which I guess didn't matter. But when you're going to like, after he has that baby never comes up again, or
right.
Mary Louise is just kind of like a line that is said.
Yeah.
I don't know, and entire people disappear, and it just like. Like, I think you get a lot from Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of him, because it is, it's very weird. It's very, like, you clearly see that there's this, like, insecurity that Napoleon has that is fighting this, like, very strong egotism, like the way he sees himself, and, like, he never admits fault, or... even when he is admitting fault, it's kind of like in like a backhanded way.
Yeah.
But then you don't see a lot of that in relation to like the yeah, like you're saying, the story beats, like what changes throughout the movie, or what is he doing differently.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Actually, that's a that kind of diametrically opposes what happens, I think, in the new Hunger Games movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about this while watching that one yesterday. It's interesting how movies that the prequels about a bad guy are like not a new thing. Like we have a character, this is their origin story and like what made them bad or whatever. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, President Snow is a terrible human being in the Hunger Games. And they're, like, we all imagine, like, oh, what turned them that way? But, like, in reality, like, I don't think we give enough credit to, like, the nature of a person. And some people are just bad by nature. Like, some people come out of the womb and there are certain things that are already, crossed in their mind, like whether it's mental health issues or proclivities toward damaging things, or whatever.
Or just growing up that way, growing up without like senses of right and wrong, or like your parents not being capable of teaching you that, or maybe you grow up in a way that doesn't require you to be that way. Require you to think about other people.
And if it's like that, in your developmental years, then that's kind of just always how you are. So in reality, someone like President Snow probably has spent his whole life like doing things to get power and hurting people selfish. Because he couldn't, being selfish. He's probably spent every day of his life doing that. So I was thinking about this, and like people kind of are how they are, and how they are leads to how they end up. Usually if you extrapolate. So there doesn't always need to be like, how did this blank slate of a human turn bad or whatever. And the opposite is, so I guess what I'm saying is I think a whole origin story about how he was a good guy who got cornered into being bad is unnecessary. And the opposite is true, like you're saying, of the Napoleon story, where it's just like, this is Napoleon. Napoleon was always Napoleon. He was always obsessed with himself. And he conquered the world. But we don't see, because life experiences do change us, even if in little ways, we don't see the effects of the things that he experiences taking hold on him in any way. So I feel like those two movies had opposite issues, with regard to their main character.
Yeah, I mean, I don't inherently think you need to have reasons for, doing bad actions. Yeah. And also, it's just not fun all the time to have like something like that explained to you, unless you're in an anime. If you're in an anime, it's always necessary and it's fun. like it's more like that stuff never comes off natural when it's like a prequel setting. Because you're like going back in time to try to put these pieces together.
Right.
But really, it's when you're introducing that character. Should you be introducing why they are the way that they are, I think.
Totally, yeah. And I love seeing big morphs in characters when you know them from the beginning like that. That is a fun thing.
But yeah, and then Napoleon, he's just a whiny crybaby the whole time, but also a strong whiny crybaby. He's constantly ambitious. I think the only thing you really see, and I don't know if I understand it, but is Marie Antoinette being beheaded, and then Napoleon's in the crowd. Like, what is, like, does that have something to do with? I don't know. It just doesn't feel clear.
Yeah. Honestly, the question is like, what did he learn in the process of spending 20 years or whatever taking over the world? What were the things that he learned that by the end of his career he would
like, what
see
are
differently?
We supposed to learn from his story?
Yeah.
Not,
right.
Like, I don't know. Like, even if it's like, if you want to say like there is no learn, it's more of a character study. Like, what is his character that we're studying? Because it just it kind of just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like that. It feels like it wants something, but then it doesn't give you anything. But if it wants to just be like, well, this is what Napoleon was like, we're not actually seeing that, or at least it doesn't feel like we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the first thing you said about this movie really does tie in all the things we've talked about so far, which was like, I forget how you put it already. What was it you said? I'm not sure what the reason for this movie was, or something like that. Yeah. So true.
Well, yeah, it just feels like inevitably we are going to get a movie about Napoleon. Ridley Scott is the guy that makes movies that would be perfect for Napoleon, and that was the end of the thought.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
But anyways, so Napoleon, I would still say it's very good. Because the movie still has great acting. It still has the sets, the effects, the battle scenes are still really good, and those are impressive to even think about making or trying to make.
Totally.
Or
I could see it winning an Oscar for any one of those things.
Yeah, or like the blood in the water.
Yeah.
Like that stuff was all great, and there's some pretty good visuals. But at the end of the day, it wasn't hooking me. Like a movie that is 2 hours and a half long needs to hook you in order to keep you fully there, I guess.
Amen. Yeah.
But yeah, dude. Out of Gran Turismo, I'd still give it at least a Turismo and a half, probably.
Cool.
No, maybe just a Turismo.
Yeah. I'm there with you, I think.
It's at least a Turismo.
At least a Turismo.
On to the finale.
The creme de la creme of the movies that we've watched. The pinnacle of Marvel movie achievement of movies in general, quite honestly.
The Marvels.
The Marvels. Hey, we said that in sync. That was awesome.
And planned. And hopefully it sounds like that coming out the other end.
Hopefully.
The Marvels is pretty good. Again, it's a lot of meh.
Yeah, right.
We're like on a tree of meh, because I don't know. The Marvels is good. It's just really short.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that it was like it had the weaknesses that are kind of like the brand of all recent Marvel movies. It had some serious story weaknesses. A couple of cases of like they probably should have cast someone else, like because of how poor they are at acting, like a couple of cases of that. But most of the acting was fine, and all the characters were fun.
Yeah.
And the story itself was pretty fun. And some of the scenes were like genuinely a good time, the way they were cut together. I
just had a thought, because I was thinking Kamala Khan seems out of place in this.
Sure.
But I think it's because her, the actress, what is her name?
I don't know.
The Marvels, because you got to know Iman Vellani.
Okay.
I think she's giving this movie a lot more energy than anybody else is willing to give this movie.
Yeah,
it's
fresh
like,
little boost.
It's her and Samuel L. Jackson are probably the things that are keeping this movie exciting all the way through. And Brie Larson, and not that Brie Larson's not bad in this movie. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
It's just all of the other characters just aren't meeting the movie on that same excitement level, I think.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're right. Sam Jackson can't fail. And Iman
Vellani.
Iman Vellani. Super energetic. Like, I'm sure she's a new actor. And she's like, just like really, really bringing it, really going for it. And that was fun. And her character is fun.
Yeah.
And there is like some Brie Larson hate out in the world, and I don't subscribe to it at all. Well, I guess I don't I don't know what it's all about, and I don't know like how she is, but like I enjoy her like as a screen presence, and her acting is like par for the course. So like I enjoyed her, and like you're saying, probably not to the same extent as Iman and Sam Jackson, but I liked all of them more than the lady that plays Captain Rambo. I feel like that character has like cool stuff, like cool origins. Like it's an interesting enough character. I just don't love that actor. So that was a bit of a drag because she is like, one of the main characters. So she's there the whole time.
Yeah.
Basically that. And she's not like terrible. She's just like, I don't know. The most meh vibes come from her for me. But
it didn't really
at least it was a trio and they all got to bounce off each other. That was good. Diffused.
Yeah. I like the way, some of their rapport. I think the movie, one of the biggest sufferings of the movie is that they have so many ideas, but none of it's able to breathe. And that's why I said it feels short, is because it's an hour 45.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, I'm not going to say that's because of any, mandating, but there have been some really long Marvel movies recently.
Mm-hmm.
And this most recent one feels like it's now too short. Like they cut too much out.
Yeah.
Like entire ideas are left on the chopping block. Like we don't get enough fights where they have to use their switching ability.
Right. Yep.
The thing that sells this movie, I think they only use a couple of times.
Right.
In like a way that shows proficiency. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
And their trio in general doesn't feel like it got enough time to become that, like where it was like a full, like they were completely aware of each other and knowing who they were, and also like getting enough time to play off each other where their chemistry felt good.
Right. Yeah. I felt like their skills, like in like fighting alongside each other and using this switching and all that. It was just funny that, like, I guess we're supposed to believe that all of that proficiency came from them playing catch a couple of times in the spaceship. It was just really not much was shown. Whole
montage, it was just explained away almost.
Yeah.
And then the very next scene where they're fighting, they're not even that great at it. Go on.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's good. Honestly, one of the best scenes I thought was like the fight scene before that, like when they're meeting each other, I guess. I don't really remember, but like before they're proficient with it, and it's just everything's going haywire because they keep switching with each other. That was a really fun scene. That was like the first moment that I was like getting into the movie.
That's like the beginning of the movie, right?
It's like 10 minutes in.
Yeah, because it opens up. It's like, oh, these bad dudes are on planet and they want the bracelet, and then immediately we're to spaceship fighting. They start switching. People are falling from the sky.
Right.
We learn that Kamala can't fly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was pretty funny how that all went.
And I didn't think like the music planet got enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was all kind of put in, like rushed on past.
Yeah.
The stuff around the cats and those eggs seemed really, really fast.
Yeah. And it was all very Deus Ex Machina-ish.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was fun that they had like a bunch of cats that, like, it was just like, okay, now we just need to get all the cats to eat everyone, and then we put those cats into pods.
Right. Yeah, like that's something from a Taika Waititi movie.
Yeah. And
I loved that they played the song from the musical Cats while that was going on.
Yeah.
That's great.
Those things were exciting and fun. It's like the stuff when we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy that I really liked, the Out There.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that overall, I liked this movie less than I liked Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. But it had like, I guess, some of the same vibes that I liked. And It's hard because like there are things I could really tear into about it, but I didn't hate the movie. Like I didn't dislike it. I enjoyed it, but some of it's like just very obvious and very fixable weaknesses were just like so much a part of the experience, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Like, what's one of the biggest ones for you, bro?
Again, some of the casting could have been done differently, I think. And there was nothing about... Oh, for some reason, I was like really ready to like this villain because I think in the trailer they like showed her very well, like in a good light. She seemed real strong. But in the movie, she just felt weak. Like I did not care for the villain. Yeah. And just like weak as a character, as a person. I don't know. I was not compelled by the villain.
I felt like this movie probably had one of the weakest climaxes of Marvel movies.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, it's where they're... She's trying to steal the sun.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go to her ship, and then they fight, and it's like, not that long.
Yeah.
And then she opens up a rift because she gets both bracelets.
Right.
And I don't know. Like a lot of that stuff just didn't it didn't stick with me.
Same.
Again, it just felt too quick. And this is probably one of the Marvel movies that feels most hindered by the superhero plot formula.
Interesting.
And I don't know how you make an exciting superhero movie when at the end of the movie you always know what's going to happen. There's going to be a big fight, and 99% of the time, unless we're talking Infinity War, the good guy wins.
Yeah, right. And 90% of the time there'll be a sacrifice that's kind of like a fake out sacrifice.
Yeah. I didn't stay for the second credit scene, but I did read what it was online. But I just don't know why they had to do that to her character at all, I guess.
Yeah.
Leave her in the other dimension and make it seem like she died.
Right. Yeah. Also, I think I feel like a lot of the written, like what was on the page was a little weak too, both in terms of like story development and dialogue. And in this moment where right before she makes this sacrifice, it was like obvious. She was like, I have to close it from the other side.
Yeah.
So like obviously the very first thing you're thinking is like, oh, she's gonna close it and she's gonna be on the other side,
Yeah.
But like this didn't occur to them, or like it wasn't part of the conversation or whatever. They're like, sounds good, and they go do this thing. She's on the other side, and they're like, wait, come back. She's like, I always knew this is what I had to do, and it's like, yeah, so did we, because you literally said it in front of everybody, but those two didn't put it together. Why?
Yeah, they didn't ask the one question like, oh, how are you going to get back?
Right.
From the other side. Why can't you close it from this side? What's the issue here?
Some weak writing in this movie.
Yeah, but it was still very fun. It was
fun.
Like the planet where everybody sings and dances, and that like they have their entire language is singing. And if you're not singing, they don't understand you.
Yeah.
But then when the prince starts talking, she's like, "Oh no, he's bilingual."
That's right. Yeah,
it's crazy.
I love that. That was great. And it was like pretty too. Like it sounded good. Like it was well done.
And then now we know that Valhalla gets a couple more residents. Oh, I think the blip stuff.
Hold on.
The guys on the planet that gets the atmosphere taken. They're now in, because the Valkyrie.
Oh, right. Yep, that's right. Okay. I remember now.
All coming back. I don't remember any of these characters' names. There's too many Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Every time they bring up the consequences of the blip, that stuff is so much more interesting to me than any of the real conflicts.
Okay.
Like the social impacts that they kind of talk about in Captain America and the Falcon.
Right. Yeah.
Silver Soldier.
Yeah.
Small,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Small soldier in the Summer Falcon. That guy.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There we go.
Is it a Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
There is a Captain Falcon, but he's not this guy.
Okay. Anyways.
Captain Falcon's a video game character.
Oh.
Yeah.
Falcon Punch.
Yes.
In Smash Bros. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool when they were like, you didn't have credit for 4 years, so because you were blipped. And then in this movie, and then I know they bring it up in one of the other ones, but then in this one, Monica misses her mom dying because she's blipped.
Right.
And that, I mean, it's just upsetting.
Totally.
And but those kind of like the fact that they keep bringing it up is so interesting. Like that's one of the wins of this whole interconnected universe thing.
Yeah.
And then all of the losses are like, why do the Eternals exist? Why haven't we seen them again? Like even as a cameo.
Right. Totally. Yeah, I guess it is good for the texture of the world. Like it helps you believe it when this thing that had a huge impact on literally everybody, like it is still part of their continued experience, like how it all went down.
Yeah, it's a daily life thing. And it's one of those things that like it changes your daily life in such subtle ways.
Right. And they used the climax of the first Avengers, the like battle in New York, I think they call it. They used that in a similar way in, phase 2 stuff. And back when they had the Marvel Netflix shows before they were like decanonized.
Yeah, and now they're about to be recanonized.
Yeah. Like they'd refer to like, oh yeah, ever since New York or whatever. And it was like a continued part of these people's lived experience. And and I think that is good. That's good world building.
Yeah. But then when you have these big dumb movies on top of them, it kind of sucks the life out of it.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I know this movie, the ending had something to do with Hugh Laurie. No, I don't remember. The guy who plays Beast.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer.
Hugh Laurie. So, at what point do the X-Men die? I don't want them to recast Wolverine. I want them to recast Wolverine. I know Wolverine's coming back in Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
That makes it okay because we've known about that, whatever. Yeah. But like at some point we should just redo the X-Men altogether.
Totally.
Wipe it clean.
I agree. I think that would be the best way to go about it. I think that the Fox X-Men universe, it was interesting how much of it they were able to, once they had created this nasty, disarrayed, terrible thing made of like 3 or 4 movies with like no coherence whatsoever. They then were able to like pick up some of the pieces and use time travel and alternate timelines and things and kind of make something a little more X-Men like out of it and a little more enjoyable. So it's interesting how much of it they were able to save. But by the end of 10-12 movies, it still never amounted to a very good thing. So I agree. The best thing would be to just like start it all over. But it does seem like they would rather do something in between where they're not just continuing from Fox's X-Men, but they're figuring out
what
how
they can use keep, some of the strengths.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
and
lame.
I think that if they do that, probably Kelsey Grammer as Beast is like the best thing they could port over. Yeah. I think you could probably get rid of everything else, honestly.
And the only reason because I think Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is probably the best, but I think it's him and Professor X. I'm not going to remember his name.
Statrick Puert.
Yep. That guy. Like we need to just let go of them because it seems like those are the things we keep coming back to is like the best parts of those movies, but it's like I don't know. I think once we finally let go of them, we'll be able to let go of it all. In my head, it's like I don't know.
They're totally the pillars. You're totally right.
Yeah.
And we got them for 20 years. It's like, it makes sense that we
Obsessed
like
or like
them
attached.
and we're attached. Yeah. But we did have 20 good years with them, and
we
it's
have to
okay.
let it go, dude.
Yeah.
Life
Yep,
changes.
Totally.
It's like that fear of change that I feel like most humans have is just like embodied in the fact that they won't recast Wolverine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. I've said for years I want them to cast Dylan O'Brien as Wolverine.
Dylan O'Brien, is that?
Yeah. He's
Conan's brother?
I doubt it.
Almost certainly not. He's in The Maze Runner. Uh-huh.
Yes, he's that guy. He was in. Did you see American Assassin?
No, I did not.
So that's the only one I've seen where he like actually shows anything gritty or interesting in terms of his like ability on screen. Mm-hmm. And I think that dude, if he were to just get super thick, he'd be a good Wolverine because he's young enough to give us another 20 years.
Yep.
And he's like pretty mean. He can be pretty mean, and he has like a scowl that, you know, the best thing that Hugh Jackman had going for him is that like real like animalistic like scowl, like with his nose as like the focal point. Like that look was very Wolverine, and Dylan O'Brien doesn't have that exact thing, but he does have like a good animal-y scowl. Yeah.
Like we already had that, all of that Wolverine's potential arcs done.
Yeah.
That guy, we saw him become an old man and die. Let that man die.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I also feel like this was one of the first Marvel movies, that without having all of the context, I didn't get. Because most other Marvel movies, if you don't watch the stuff prior, you're fine. Mm-hmm. But for this one, I didn't see any of the TV shows except for the first half of Moon Knight and the Summer Falcon and the Captain. The Summer Falcon and the Captain. Every other TV show I've avoided. So I didn't see the new Nighthawk.
Okay.
Or the new Hawkeye. Dude,
yeah,
I'm
right.
messing up these names so hardcore right now.
I get it, bro. I get it.
I never saw WandaVision.
Okay.
So, and there were a couple other things. Oh, I didn't see Captain Marvel or the Miss Marvel. So a lot of that stuff I feel like I was a little lost in, not knowing.
Mm-hmm. I'm right there with you. I don't know. I've seen like half of the things that pertain to this movie or lead into it in some way. And yeah, it's it's just too much to keep up with anymore. / not interesting enough to keep up with anymore. Their best days are behind them, and so it's hard to want to keep up. But then something comes out and you feel lost and you want to know what's going on.
Yep.
But is it worth 30 hours of poor content to know what's going on?
Yeah, or even when it is good content, like it's like half good, and then like an episode that's really good, and then like 2 more episodes that are kind of
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's too much.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they were building up a Young Justice League because I only knew of America,
Right.
and Lil Pim.
Oh, right. Yeah, Scott's Cassidy.
Yeah,
Cassidy.
his last name is Pym, right? Something to do with the Pym particle.
It's Michael Douglas's character is Pym. He's Scott Lang. Paul Rudd is Scott Lang.
So
he's
little
his
Lang.
son-in-law. Yeah, Little Lang. Cassie Lang.
Yeah. Those are the only two I knew, and I didn't really. And you can kind of tell that they are building up America for something past that.
Totally.
But apparently there's like 5. There's like a small, because I read an article. There's like a Bruce Banner's nephew gets brought up in She-Hulk.
Oh, okay.
And that's like a third Hulk.
Gotcha.
There's like Nighthawk's daughter, of course. We know that one now.
Mm-hmm.
There was also one. Oh, apparently Wanda's 2 kids are some are mutants in the comics,
Okay.
and they might there was one more, and I can't remember. He was like a robot dude, but I can't remember who else is a robot in these movies besides Vision.
Vision.
Oh, and then there's Iron Man's Iron Heart.
Right. Yeah, forgot about her.
I didn't realize she's in the Wakanda movies, Black Panther movies.
In the second one.
And I didn't realize what they were building up with her. But now it all makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll see if that goes anywhere good at all.
Or if it goes anywhere at all.
Yeah, true that.
Because it seemed like they were going to do something where Spider-Man was going to be like the Helmer of the next thing. But then they just started introducing too many one-offs, or what now feel like one-offs.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the Eternals going to be? Where is the Eternals' place at all?
Right. I have no idea. Do you think that this... Is quagmire the right word? This I'll just say mire. This stuff, this soup of just infinite mediocre stuff that they have pumped out. Do you think that it all just like heat deaths itself? Like it all just becomes so diffuse and so lame and so tasteless that it kind of fizzles out of existence, like ceases to be anything? Or do you think the movies continue to have high points as they're going, like bunch of content, and then like, bam, this thing that's really good. Or do you think they just up and decide they're done with them after another 10 years? Like what do you think is the destiny of things from where we're at now, looking forward with this genre? I guess with Marvel specifically.
I don't know, because it doesn't feel like we have anything to compare it to. Because everything else that was that is like a successful universe, it feels like though they're not dying yet. Like everything that was an unsuccessful universe, it died off the get-go. But now that Marvel knows it can make money, I think it feels like they'll just keep trying to make that same money until they either do or don't.
Yeah.
Or until they do, right? And then once they do again, they'll just continue to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it could also go the Star Wars route where it stops doing it and then they stop for a while. But then again, like Star Wars is just pumped right back up into it. It's just TV shows for the last couple of years instead of movies.
Totally. Yeah, Disney's always going to seek formulaic billions. Like they know what will make them money, even if it's just completely horrible, and they'll always do that. But I would just love to see something like push them, like require them to be better and to be creative, because it would be very dissatisfying for it to all just kind of like fizzle out. Like it just got so loose and so lame that eventually it just kind of slowly died. Like that'd be the worst case scenario, I think, the most boring.
I definitely don't think they end it on purpose.
Okay.
Because I think comic books don't end, not really.
Yeah.
So I don't think this will end.
Yeah.
I hope it ends. Or at least I hope it slows down.
Yeah.
Because we're getting just too much of it to the point where...
Totally.
I don't know. Like I was saying, like when you know the end of the movie is going to be an exciting climax, where shit's exploding, someone has to die, or fake die, or something, and then there's always like an item they're looking for,
right?
Because like these are like the biggest MacGuffin users, because every single Marvel movie has a MacGuffin. 10 rings, freaking a bracelet for some reason. Like it's always like a different household item that has power. A cube.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just so lame. And at some point, I don't know how you can make it exciting. And maybe that's the thing, is it's already not exciting.
Yeah. I think you to get any like value out of this kind of stuff ever again, it needs to go back to what it was back when, like, every once in a great while some artsy film director would decide to develop a superhero story into a movie, because that isn't something that people would typically touch, but you just get like some guy with a fun idea for it or a weird spin on it, and he'd make a movie, and it would either be terrible or it'd be super good.
Yeah.
And that was such a more interesting time for these kinds of movies, when it was like, oh my gosh, a Ghost Rider movie? And it comes out of nowhere. It wasn't like you could count on a Ghost Rider movie being made. It was like, what?
5 years in advance or whatever.
Yeah. But if we're ever going to see a period like that again, it'll only be
years down the line. Well,
it'll have to be, people just will be so tired of it that it won't be very monetizable anymore, and then 20 years after that, slowly return to some of those.
It would just suck if what happens is people, instead of getting tired of superhero movies, they get tired of movies, and then we lose movies.
Yeah, that would suck.
I don't think that'll happen, but
I don't think so either. That's not a future I will allow to happen. Like, I'll do whatever I got to do to continue the movie fandom.
Yeah. But I don't know. But then when the other big block budgety movie that you're looking forward to is Napoleon, it's like, well, what are we?
Yeah.
Well, what are we waiting for at all?
Yeah. Yep.
For the
there needs. It's been a long time since we've had a shakeup, I think, is what's going on, and we just need a shakeup. Someone needs to come along and do something just different, and it needs to inspire people to work harder, think harder, be more creative.
Yeah, or more like the money gets put into things that are different, that are to people that work harder or are able to be more creative with their ideas and not just same old.
Yep.
It's not like it's easy to make these movies or to write these movies.
Right.
Because you have to try to, as a writer, probably inject all of these. Every time you're picking up to write one of these movies, you're probably thinking, how am I going to be the guy that makes it different this time?
Right.
But then you're so hampered down by the fact that it has to be all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you think about other genres that are constricting, you have like horror movies. And, they have their tropes and they have their things. But eventually, they're not bound by them. You can do different things and you can subvert them in, specific ways.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like superhero movies are... Like, how do you subvert those in a way that still makes it a superhero movie?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you genuinely, couldn't get away with that right now in the current market for them. Mm-hmm. Just wouldn't play.
Yeah. So I don't know.
We need. I think you're right though. We need less. We need some space. It needs to.
We don't
breathe.
need.
We need to cool off.
2 different companies working on 3 movies a year that are all the same thing.
Yep. Totally.
Oh, but yeah, I'd say this is probably one. What did I say Napoleon was? Napoleon was a 1.5 Gran Turismo.
1.5, yeah.
This is probably 6 out. No. 9 out of Gran Turismo.
9 out of Gran Turismo.
So it's almost a full Gran Turismo.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of Gran Turismo.
Okay, that sounds fair. Because you remembered you gave Next Goal Wins a 7 out of Gran Turismo. And it's just one step down.
Yeah.
I know you. You're thinking about all these, all these things,
all these scales.
Dude, where did the space base come from? I feel like that came out of nowhere last
I don't know. Yeah, the first time I remember seeing it was in Is it in the first Captain Marvel where
Is
you
it?
like realize that like, oh, the guy that's been Nick Fury for the last like 5 years has been one of the Skrulls, and then you see Nick Fury like chilling like up on the base or something.
Well, I never saw that movie, so
Okay.
well, shit.
Well,
Okay.
that was like the first I saw or remember seeing of it.
Nick Fury was a Skrull.
Yeah.
Isn't that the Skrulls are in the TV show, right? Secret
Yeah.
Wars. That's not
Yeah.
the TV show.
Secret Invasion?
Yes, because Secret Wars is going to be a movie eventually.
Okay.
Wish. Last minute wish thoughts.
Yes.
Again, it was just kind of
Oh man. Okay.
like I liked the music for the most part. The
Mm.
music was pretty interesting. I liked Chris Christopherson. Chris Evans. No.
Okay.
No, what is his name?
Let's see.
Don't worry,
Wish.
darling.
Oh, Chris Pine.
Chris Pine. He's in that, right? Chris Pine. He was
Yeah.
good. I like his voice.
Cool.
All the voice acting was pretty good. The comedy was, Disney standards, kind of Marvel-y
Mhm.
Disney standards.
Okay.
I don't know. It just, I guess a lot of it was vibey. Like, it just felt like it was trying to recreate the magic of an old Disney movie without having much of the magic on its own.
Gotcha.
It was very, like, I kept, and I don't know why I was doing this, I kept trying to put the message in, like, a modern-day context, and I couldn't.
Mhm. Okay.
Like, things about it conflicted with me. Because it's one of those, like, follow your dreams movies.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It was pretty good. I liked the animation because all the backgrounds and, like, that stuff was pretty interesting.
Right. That did look cool
Yeah.
visually.
So I don't know. Just watch it, bro. Watch it.
Okay. I'll check
and
it
I'll try
out.
to think about it more. I think
Yeah.
I made like 2 notes on it. Let me see if those notes are any better.
Cool.
That one you have to know the movie to actually discuss it. Oh, when you're watching it, it's going to have a lot of Disney references.
Okay.
A lot of the critics I was reading said that like the references were too much or too like they felt like it was the references were trying to compensate.
Gotcha.
And I'm not sure if this movie has more references than any other Disney movie has.
Okay.
Because like Disney, Pixar, just animation studios in general, I feel like, well, movies in general, all reference each other or reference
Totally.
in studio stuff. And I just don't know if
Yeah.
this one was any different.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for that stuff.
Or even like, I want to say, even any worse than like Spider-Man into
Sure.
the Spider-Verse one.
Right.
The new one.
Right.
Anyways.
Okay. Good to know. So it's kind of a bummer that 100% of movies, you could go see 20 movies in a couple of weeks, and 100% of them currently right now are meh.
Yeah.
Like, when's the next inspired thing gonna come out,
Poor Things. That's why we're going to watch it.
I'm gonna struggle with it. I know I am.
No, you're chilling, dude. I mean, Killers of the Flower Moon was that, like...
That's pretty good.
That was
Yeah.
a movie.
Yeah, it was.
So,
It's true.
and maybe the killer is going to be great.
Yeah,
Best
I'm
movie we've
crossing my
ever
fingers.
seen. Maybe
It
Godzilla.
better be. And if it's not, I'm gonna be so upset.
Yeah.
So upset.
I'm giving up on movies in general. That movie about the boat, the guys in the boat by George Clooney, that movie could be great. That's a movie.
I'll look it up.
Do you not watch the trailers before you go into these movies?
Dude, in the last 6 months, I don't know if I have made it to a movie in time to see any of the trailers. I have gotten so precise with arriving like at
Right
the last minute I possibly can when the trailers are ending, because it like gives me more time to do other things. I'm like, okay, this theater usually does about 22, 23 minutes of trailers. This one does.
Yeah.
So I'm always walking in the door at the last minute.
The one I go to, it's very bad. They at the Napoleon, it was supposed to start at 3:30.
Okay.
I showed up 15 minutes to the theater late because, you know, I left at 3:30. I lived 5 minutes away. I got a drink. So I'm pulling up in there, and I still had 3 more trailers to go.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and they were probably like 2.5, 3 minutes each. It's crazy. Why is so many trailers?
Seriously, you can't plan your night around like
a movie
the starting time that it says. Yeah, it's crazy.
Anyways, fuck the trailers. I used to love them. Now I don't, because they're too long and too many of them.
And they're just, everything that comes out sucks. Trailers used to be exciting because they used to come out with good stuff all the time.
Yeah. We're in the time for movies. And I've only seen not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to revitalize this thing, dude. We're in like basically the Great Depression for movies. Yeah.
Right? And Christmas isn't going to get any better. It's going to be Wonka.
Yeah.
And whatever else. Oh, and Ferrari. Ferrari looks good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ferrari. That's right.
Anyways. I think we're all good here.
Cool.
Thank you for joining us. If you did, in the comments, leave a comment about your favorite movie this week. If it was any of these or one you watched otherwise.
Give us recommendations.
Yeah. Rate Cole's dance on a scale of Gran Turismos. How many Gran Turismos is Cole's dance worth? And also rewatch Gran Turismo this weekend.
Yeah.
It's National Gran Turismo
we will
Week.
be doing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you have a good night.
Nighty night.